lot of changes in your life. You are now a paid sports writer officially. You are on the that all-star team that joined up with the Bleacher Report, and you are also still cranking away at Warriors World, where things have been getting weird. You were in the building when booze showered down on Joe Lacob, owner of the Warriors, at the end of Mullin's ceremony. Paint a picture.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I am still in the HoopSpeak fold. It's been crazy recently, but eventually the Warriors will cease mattering at all if that already hasn't happened. Last night they played against the Hornets in a game that both teams were just avidly trying to lose. So I think that you'll probably see me more in HoopSpeak in the future. It was a crazy scene. It was hilarious. See, that's the problem with something like this, is the writers can't say, by the way, this was hilarious. It has to be very dramatic, and it has to be, oh man, to see Lacob's face, and it was, oh, and Mully's moment was ruined, and oh, it was just such high. But you know what? It was funny. It was so awkward. You have this crazy situation where everybody involved in the Warriors has been shivved at some point, so it's this dysfunctional family reuniting for Thanksgiving. You know, Nelly's there. Nelly was friends with Mullin, but then got Mullin fired. You know, other people forced Mullin out. There's Greg Papa. He got forced out, and he's the MC of the event. That's a broadcaster down here. Zach knows who he is probably. And he's trolling it. He's talking for 15 minutes with just this S-eating grin, I will say, you know, for our censors. And then he just leads Lacob right into it. I felt like he meant to do it, Greg Papa, because he's such a pro, because Mullin got everybody riled up with this, go Warriors! Everyone's cheering wildly. And then Papa goes, and we saved the best for last. Joe Lacob, and just this light on Joe Lacob at center court in the darkness. And just the most thunderous boos I've ever heard in my entire life. And there was ebbs and flows. Mullin runs out. It's like Jeff Ross saving the situation at the Friars Club roast. He runs out as this sort of human they love me shield in front of Lacob and says, for some reason cobbling together, he says, sometimes change is inevitable. I don't even know where he pulled that one from, but it's a great quote, and people cheered. But then Rick Barry had to... We were wondering before, would Rick Barry be allowed to talk? Because he is a crazy person, he loves the lecture, and he has no filter. He's incredibly arrogant, so I'm, you know, press row, we're going, oh man, is Rick Barry going to be allowed to speak? And in this chaos, in these boos, in this situation, nobody even knows how, like, Alvin Adels, the former Warrior great, had a microphone, and Rick Barry just snatches it and runs the center court and starts berating the crowd like an angry principal as more boos come down. Most fun I ever had at Oracle, guys. It was spectacular.
I have a question for you regarding the Rick Barry part. Did he, when he went up there, he grabbed the microphone, he walks up there to basically, you know, defend Lacob. Did he submit his resume with an application to Lacob for a job as he got up there, or was that after the ceremony? Because it seemed like he was just pining for a job.
Yeah, well, you know, he used to say on the radio every week that he should coach the team, you know, some years back. So I think that he has no issue being forward in that manner. I actually, after the game, saw him lecturing about 5 fans just with his finger out and just yelling and lecturing. You know, they, I think, were supportive, but just he needs a Twitter account. I think we all agree that Rick Barry needs a Twitter account that we can just all
of all those, like, fake completely. Walton, there's not Walt Frazier. Like, why isn't there a fake Rick Barry Twitter that's just angry about everything all the time?
Just chastising jobs he hasn't received.
Yeah. It just happened yesterday. I noticed it just happened. It's in all caps, and it's yelling at people about, you know, it's very curmudgeonly as he is about their lack of habits and how soft they are these days, and it's truly wonderful. But I want the real deal. You know, there's nobody's a better Barry than Barry. We just need that. I want him as an announcer. I want him as Warriors coach. I want him as possibly owner. I need more amusement in my life, and he unintentionally provides so much of it.
Well, I like also that, like, Barry was this super fan-friendly player to watch. Like, he played in this beautiful style. He was a great passer, rebounder, ball handler, shooter. And then, like, underneath, he's just the least likable guy. And, you know, that Tony Kornheiser profile is so famous in Sports Illustrated. And it's just, like, spot on. I mean, he just doesn't have whatever gene that is that, like, allows you to relate to people.
Well, but that's, you know what? I think this is his era now, because we're in the era of extreme irony where hateable people become likable, or we just sort of laugh at laughing at somebody. And I think now Rick Barry, those qualities which made him detestable and loathsome, now make him lovable. I love Rick Barry. I can't get enough Rick Barry. I want everything Rick Barry all the time. And I think that's because it's the era we're living in.
Okay, I have a question. We need to, like, I'm just so confused by this. Everyone the next day, and even that night, was like, oh, you don't understand what Warriors fans have been through. You know, they've been up and down, and, you know, they've just, you know, it's so hard rooting for this team. They've just been down. And then Simmons came out with that 60-point thing, like, history of why everyone's so mad. And isn't it at a certain point, it's like, yeah, you know, you're just yelling and booing because you want to be heard, but you knew what you were getting into with the Warriors. You know they're not good. You know why they need to trade people. You're not the only organization that has ever gone through bad times. I just don't feel
here it comes,
them.
Timberwolves, wham, wham.
No, I'm not even, I immediately thought of like Clippers fans and Hornets fans and people that live in Charlotte.
No, but Clippers fans, that's not real. Clippers fans isn't real. Like, there's
Are you
no
saying
reason
Clipper
to
Daryl is
fan.
just playing it up for money? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, a little bit. The Clippers says, I'll never have sympathy for a Clipper fan. I'm sorry. It's like you live in a city that has the most storied franchise in all of basketball, essentially, and there's nothing to differentiate it from this other team that plays in the same building, except that other team's owned by a racist. I'm sorry. Go cry about it. You're not woebegone. You're just choosing, ironically, like a hipster, to root for Drek. That's a choice, and it's not a choice to support. The Warriors are the only game in town.
No, but you don't have to choose the team that you don't have to choose the team that you live in the same city as. Like, that's not a thing that has to happen. You choose to be a Warriors fan because, I don't know, you want to rep the Bay and ghost ride the whip and have the whistles go woo woo. Like,
yeah, all those things.
You kids want to rep the Bay and ghost ride the whip.
Well. Yeah, I think that was in the Rick Barry lecture. He was like, enough of you kids repping the Bay and ghost riding the whip. How about some good solid fundamentals and some cheering for your owner?
Back in my day, the A's were in Philadelphia.
Stop being so bootsy. I think that. But look, it's the only game in town, and people love the Bay Area. And you know what? It's like Don Nelson epitomizes the Warriors. It's like ultimately bad for everybody and destructive and self-destructive, but you just can't quit him. He's got that charisma and he's got that flourish. In fact, he was he seemed very happy. Well, that'll be my code word at a halftime interview after
like
a post-halftime interview after the booze, and yeah, and he was saying he was saying things apparently in the studio interview, like, oh, the Bogut trade was a trade made in heaven. I was laughing at the whole Warriors thing. It was all on display. I think we need to let Ben on. I think I've gone long enough about this.
All right, man. Well, we turned from one bizarre franchise to another in flux. Thanks for coming on, Ethan, and check him out on Bleacher Report, Court Vision blog.
Miss you guys. Let's see more of you in the future.